Reg and Past, from telling stories. The moonlight glinted on the surface of the silver ocean. Reg, in his old ragged cloak, sat by a campfire. The fire sparkled beneath the fish he roasted. Reg sighed. The wind is sure harsh tonight, he thought, as he turned the fish on the fire. He raised his eyes to the ocean. The light ripples contrasted the dark shade of the ocean greatly. The mountains across the ocean rose tall and jagged. Even from this distance, the sharp edge lines of the mountain were visible. The full moon didn't help hide its lines. What if? What if? What if? He thought, poking the fish to check its softness. A little more, he muttered to himself. Small stones poked his butt where he sat, but he paid no audience to the discomfort. Was there anything better for a person like him? The tears he caused people ran through his mind. His heart stiffened, a gasp for breath, as he recalled the sadness that drove some of them. Sadness he caused, the pain of memory he brought them, pain he perhaps didn't intend to give them. But they were people, mortals, whose lifespan was like the blowing wind, and when they got fed up with him, they drove him away, drove him far from their domain. So now here he was on this planet, a planet strange in all its ways, the planet of beings he'd heard it was called. He sat solitary in this place he found, a place for him and him alone, a place away from the other beings he hadn't even met. Here, we'll do just fine, he thought. The ocean view with the mountains for a backdrop was just the perfect place for a being such as him, and he planned to turn the entirety of it to his sanctuary, a safe place away from the others. Just as soon as I know what to do with these pebbles, he groaned at the discomfort the pebbles underneath his butt caused him. To his fish on the fire, he had a flat stone set a third of the way above the fire, and on it the bread he cooked was nearing completion. Leaves of trees ruffled far behind him. It was odd, hearing the ruffles of leaves considering they were miles behind. He turned back, looking from where he sat. The tree lines appeared like silhouettes that shook roughly. It bothered him. Perhaps it's nothing, he thought. He returned his attention to his cooking rather than trying to flee. I hope I haven't been found out. He touched the fish. Its hard scale and flesh were finally soft enough to be removed from the fire. Soon the bread was ready, a meal to be enjoyed. He adjusted his sitting position, ignoring the stones that inconvenienced him. He brought out his water bag, and then did he realize he was out of water? The problem of getting water. Ugh, how could you forget that? He barked at himself. That wouldn't have been a problem if the body of liquid in front of him wasn't silver and only good for catching fish. He sat there, contemplating whether to eat first, then go to the nearby river to get water, or to get water first, then return, or carry his food along. But that would mean his meal would get cold while on the way to get water. He fixed his eyes on the silver ocean in front of him, ignoring the wind that picked up its pace and the ruffling leaves behind. How the river water flowed into a silver ocean was still beyond his imagination. As he contemplated, a third option opened itself to him. To eat on the way to get water, I am tired, but to leave his food to get water. Stones scurried across the ground as he put out the fire. That shouldn't happen. The wind wasn't strong enough to move the stones scattered across the ground. He wrapped his meal in a napkin, then put it in his small bag. He chose to eat when he got to the river. It would still be hot when I get there. He stood to his feet and set out towards the river, without bothering to look what caused the stones to scurry or the land to vibrate. Regret, a voice yelled from behind. Ah, he groaned. He knew that voice all too well. Continue walking, he said to himself. Reg picked up his pace. Just keep walking. He hammered it into his head. His fast walk became a little running. Regret, the voice called again. It appeared the fellow had picked up pace as well. Reg paused. What if? Reg thought, but he would catch up. To pick up pace to distance himself from his foe was a waste of time, but he tried anyway. Wait. The voice was only a foot behind Reg. He picked his pace, and almost starting to run, Reg felt a forced tug on his ragged cloak. He ignored the pull and tried to push forward, but the force pulled him to a stop. He twisted about, frowning deeply. "What?" he barked. A slender man with well-chiseled jaws stood before him, his eyes lit with possibilities. His braided hair flowed to his shoulders. His vest was sleeveless leather, patterned with fine design. He wore fitting pants and boots. He was muscular and his veins showed themselves visible. "Running from an old friend?" His voice was like the droplets of a running tap. "Not very good." The man smirked. Past stood solid like the mountains beyond the ocean. It was as though each time Reg saw the being, he became more handsome. "What friend?" Reg fumed. He wrapped his cloak around him tighter to hide the thatched vest he wore underneath. "See my face, He pointed to his bruised face, cuts and plaster here and there. His left eye was black. A long cut ran down the right side of his face from head to jaw. "Does a friend do this to you? That doesn't look like a thing I would do." Past studied Reg's battered face. He tried to touch his face, but Reg smacked his hand away. Yes, it is," Reg stamped his feet. "When you send me to broadcast your existence to people. So yes, Past, this is your doing. Not those people you sent me to. You." Reg pointed his finger at the bewildered persona in front of him. Past exhaled. He didn't have time for Reggie's tantrum. "I didn't say to make them feel bad, did I?" He dropped Reggie's pointed finger. "I admit I sent you there, but the method used was up to you." He tilted his head. Reggie's face was beyond recognition. "See reflection. He seems to do okay." Of course he would. Reg looked away, ashamed. Reflection often nudged them to appear grateful, to learn from their errors, while he, Reg, asked what ifs, but he was just doing his job. "Why should I get battered for just carrying out my duty?" He looked back into Past's eyes. All he saw were missed chances, neglected opportunities, wrong words spoken, terrible actions taken, mistakes made, unworthy behaviors. What else was he supposed to do? "The method used was up to you." He scoffed as Past's words played back in his mind. "What do you want?" he asked dryly. His bread and fish was getting cold, and he'd like to get to his meal quickly. "I have something important I'd like to get to, then waste time here." "Boss." He squeezed his mouth, making his face more tight. "Well, I'd like to get over this conversation as well," Past said. A frown formed on his face. Wherever Reg got this behavior was something he didn't want to think about. "Present is just over those mountains." He pointed in the direction of the mountains, still keeping his eyes on Reg. "I want you to help him find his way to the city." He dropped his hand and stared hard at Reg. "Guide. Him only. Nothing else," he said, firmly. "Is that all?" Reg said coldly. "Another work, and I haven't recovered from the previous one." "No," Past said. He took one step closer to Reg. "This isn't going to be good," Reg thought, his arms trembling uncontrollably. "When you are back, you and I are going to have a discussion about this new behavior of yours. Clear?" Reg stood there, looking into Past's eyes. "That is if I return," he thought. Past raised his eyebrows, waiting for a response. "Yes," Reg answered reluctantly. "Good," Past said as he turned to walk away, then vanished from sight. Reg sniffed the air. He had forgotten how harsh and cold the air was. That was something he was glad to have again, rather than Past's volcanic presence. Past was serious about that discussion. His last tone had become those of crashing waves. "Must escape. I must." Reg resumed his walk to the river. Even the people Past sent him to wanted nothing to do with him. Why should he keep enduring battering on his behalf? "I must," he resolved in his mind. But how to actually escape Past's grip was something beyond his imagination, something he didn't know how to do and wouldn't ask the other beings back in the city. They'd snitch the first chance they got, so alone. An impossible task that he must do alone, but first he must eat. Whatever the odds, he would escape, no matter what he had to do. He continued his stroll, trying to find a way out from Past's grip, but every way he could think of stood tall like a solid wall. "We'll find a way out,"